Hello, everyone out there, and welcome back to my channel. I want to welcome the new people as well. If this is your first time to this channel, I want to say welcome to you as well. And I hope everybody day is going good on today. Today is Friday, May the today is Friday, May the 10th. Yeah, it's the 10th of the month. And so I want to go right into the message that God gave me on today. And the title of my message is God, I Need a Miracle. And so I just want to first of all say that God gets excited about us when He sees our faith on display. When He sees our faith on display, and when we have expectation that God will show up in our time of need. God is excited about that. And so we must hold on to our faith. In Hebrews 11:6, it says, without faith, it's impossible to please God. For he that cometh to Him must believe that He is, and He is the rewarder of those that diligently seek Him. And so God is pleased when we continue to believe on Him and have expectation, as I said. Expectation that God is going to show up in my situation. And so, in the book of Daniel, because Daniel is a good example. In the book of Daniel, Daniel was a man of extraordinary faith. And not only Daniel, the Hebrew boys, the three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they all had extraordinary faith. And I just thought about the fact that even though they were in captivity, and when they got into captivity, when God sent the people into captivity, they were nothing but children. So it's just something that they had extraordinary faith, despite, like I said, they were children, but they believed in what they were taught. They really believed it, and they actually put it to action as well. And so God showed up for them strongly, and He showed miracle. It was miracles after miracle was performed. During that time they was in captivity. And so, it was one time they were thrown in a fiery furnace, the three Hebrew boys, and they came out unscathed. They came out unscathed. It didn't do no damage to them because God was with them in the fire. It talks about how there was a fourth man in the fire. It was Jesus that was in the fire with them. And so they were able to be delivered out of that fire. Then it talks about, and that was absolutely a miracle. Because when they say a fiery furnace, that means it was exceedingly hot. And then Daniel, they threw him in the lion's den. And then there was another time it talks about how Daniel fasted. That was like in the 9th and 10th chapter. It talks about how Daniel began to fast on the behalf of his people, because they were in the situation they were in because they had sinned against God. They had sinned. God had sent different prophets to warn them. They didn't listen to the prophets, and so eventually God performed what He had already told them, that when they turned away from Him, that He was going to take them, that they were going to be taken from their land. And so once Daniel began to fast and pray and seek God, God sent an angel. That was absolutely a miracle. Sent an angel, and He sent Gabriel. And Gabriel came to Daniel more than one time, and he began to tell him secret things that were going to happen in the future. But Daniel, as I said, they were men of extraordinary faith, and God showed up from them. It just showed us that even in the midst of any kind, because their situation was pretty bad, because like I said, they were in captivity, but yet God showed up for them and gave them a miracle. So we must always have hope no matter what things look like. God can show up and change your situation. It don't matter where you at. where you at? Because a lot of times we want to be moved to another spot. Lord, take me out of this or do something else. But God wants to do a miracle right when you in the situation. Even if it's just to change your mindset about things, because we want God to hurry up and move us to the next thing. And sometimes God does not, because we know they was in captivity for how long? 70 years. 70 years. Yet their faith it remained strong. And so also, you think about, I was thinking about, how God, he shows up for us too. Even now, because some people don't even believe that God does miracles today. They just believe this from, something they read in the past. But God, he's doing miracles right now. And I know that we all could use a miracle. I know I can, a miracle right now. All of us need a miracle in some capacity. We need some situation change in our life. Some people try to be so prideful that they all right all the time. They don't need nothing. But I do. I'm looking for a miracle every day. I'm looking for God to do something new in my life, to show up and show out. I'm always looking for God to do something, because God done seen him do so many things already. Even little things, that might not mean anything to somebody else, but it's big to me. Sometimes I'll be amazed that sometimes in my prayer time, I'll be singing to God, and sometimes I will sing certain songs, and then I will hear the song again, like I'm talking about the same day. It's God's way of letting me know that he hear me, and to me, that's a miracle that God communicates. When God communicates with you, that's a miracle. Like how Daniel, as I said, Daniel sought God. He fasted. It talks about one particular time he fasted for 21 days, and how God showed up so strong by sending an angel to him. And so even the little things that God does, to me, is miraculous. Just the fact that he will communicate with me, a mere human. I'll be amazed. God has done some extraordinary things in my life already. It might not be big to somebody else, but it's big to me, by sending provision supernaturally. Sometimes you can be thinking about you short on money or something like that, and then all of a sudden money shows up. Just little things like that. I done seen him heal my body. I done seen him, bring healing to my mind, my finances, when I didn't even know how I was going to make it, and God just sent the finances for me to make it. I mean, God have done, like I said, so many miracles he have done in my life. Like I gave a testimony before, how my grandson, because my daughter has autism, it's like several, I don't know, that it's something, I don't know if it's something in our genetics or what, but it's several people in my family that have kids with autism. I don't know what is going on in different forms, from mild to severe. And my daughter has autism, and my grandson as well, but my grandson is more high functioning than my daughter. And I remember him being a baby, and they basically gave my daughter no hope for him, that he would do anything, because he didn't sit up till he was like 2 years old. He wasn't talking, he wasn't doing nothing. And then she began to take him to therapy, and my grandson, he began to start talking a little bit. He started talking more, and I just remember prophesying over him, saying that one day he gonna be talking, and we gonna have to tell him to shut up. That time has came to pass, because most of the time he will talk all day. If you don't tell him to be quiet, he will keep on talking. But it's a blessing at the same time, because at one particular time, this little boy was not talking at all. And like I said, they didn't give her no kind of hope that he would do anything, but he's basically doing everything. He's still behind in a lot of areas, but God done brought him so far already, and I believe he's gonna take him even further. And he's 12. He's 12 at this moment, but I believe God can do anything. He can, like they say, he can do exceedingly abundantly what you can ever ask or think, according to the power that worketh in you. So it's according to your faith. It's according to your faith. And I just thought about how you read throughout the four Gospels how Jesus, he did so many miracles. So many miracles among the people. I mean, extraordinary things, that, in a natural condition, there is no way change could come unless God intervened. And so when Jesus, supernaturally, changed their situation, it was something out of the ordinary. It was something out of the ordinary. See, because they looked at him at that particular time as a man, but he was not just a mere man. He was God in the flesh. He was God in the flesh. A lot of people, they try to say that Jesus was a prophet, but Jesus was more than a prophet. He was more than a prophet. He was, at that time, he had to come as a man. He had to come in flesh. But he still had the same ability that he had before he became flesh. And so he performed many miracles. Many miracles. And so I want to read about a couple of people. Okay, I want to go to Luke, the 7th chapter. I want to read the 11th through the 15th verse. And this is talking about this widow woman. Oh, it was a widow woman, and she had lost her son, so she had lost hope. And I'm sure that her son was the one who took care of her. So now her son was dead, so she didn't know what she was going to do. And so this woman, she was grieving greatly. But Jesus showed up. And so I want to start at the 11th verse and read down to the 15th verse. And it says, and it came to pass the day after that he went into the city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and much people. Now when he came nigh to the gate of the city, behold, there was a dead man, carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow. And much people of the city was with her. And when the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and said unto her, weep not. And he came and touched the bier, and they that bare him stood still, and said, young man, I say unto thee, arise. And he that was dead sat up and began to speak, and he delivered him to his mother. This was an extraordinary miracle, because they were in the middle of having this her son's funeral. They was in the middle of having this funeral, and yet God, through the power of God, Jesus brought the son back to life, for the mother. Because the mother he know that the mother needed her son's help. And then also, you read about Lazarus, because he brought a couple of people, he brought them back from the dead. I know Jairus, his daughter had died, and he brought her back. And then Lazarus was dead a total of 4 days. So he was good and dead. And Jesus resurrected him as well. So these were extraordinary miracles. And also it says in Mark 9, the 9th chapter and 23rd verse, that if thou canst believe, all things are possible to them that believe. So it don't matter what it is. Jesus said, just believe. Just believe that I can do it. And I will. And I will. And I will. And so, also I want to go to the Old Testament, which talks about the situation with Moses, because Moses had to deal with all these people because God chose him as a leader of the people. And he was to be their deliverer. Moses was sent to deliver God's people, but the people were a lot of problems. They had a lot of problems. They gave Moses a hard time. Every time that things didn't look right to them, they began to complain to Moses, and Moses was getting tired of them at this point. And so God had been supplying them with manna, which was, he was giving them angel food. He sent food for heaven to feed them. And so they got tired of the angel food. They wanted to get them some meat. They wanted some meat. And God was not pleased with them at all. Because God was telling them, he was teaching them many things. But they refused to trust God. And they was complaining to Moses about them, that they wanted some meat. And so God told Moses that I'm going to send them meat. And when God sent meat, he sent so much meat. He said it's going to come out their nostrils. And so I want to read a little bit about what God was saying during this time and how God sent meat supernaturally for all these people, because it was about 1 million people. It might have been more than 1 million people that needed to be fed. And so Moses was trying to figure out in his natural mind, how was he going to feed all of these people? And so I want to read to what God had told him. And so I want to go to Numbers, the 11th chapter. I want to read that 21st to the 23rd verse, and then I want to skip down to the 31st and the 32nd verse. And so starting in that 21st verse, it says, and Moses said to the people, among whom I am, or 600,000 footmen, thou hast said, I will give them flesh, that they may eat a whole month. And so, this is Moses trying to figure out how he gonna feed all these people. It says 600,000 footmen, but we know it was even more people than that. It says, shall the flocks and the herds be slain for them, to suffice them, to satisfy them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them, to suffice them? But the Lord said unto Moses, is the Lord's hand waxed short? Thou shalt see now whether my word shall come to pass unto thee or not. And so you skip down to the 31st verse. It says, and there went forth a wind from the Lord, and brought quails from the sea, and let them fall by the camp, as it were a day's journey on this side, and as it were a day's journey on the other side, round about the camp, and as it were 2 cubits high upon the face of the earth. And the people stood up all that day. This how many quails he sent. This how long it took them to gather all these quails. It says the people stood up all that day. It took them all day. And it says all that night and all the next day. So there was a lot of quails. And they gathered the quails. He gathered the least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them all abroad for themselves round about the camp. And so this was an extraordinary miracle, but nothing is too hard for God. There's nothing too hard for God. And when I was thinking about the Hebrew boys, I was thinking about that scripture, because they was able to overcome even in captivity. They was able to overcome what they were going through, what they were in the midst of. In 1 John, the 4th chapter and the 4th verse, it says, you are of God, little children, and have overcome them. For greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. So that means we can overcome anything that comes against us. And as I said, we all can use a miracle right now. And if you can't, I can. I'm looking for a miracle every day from God. in this life, we have to have something to look forward to. All around us we hearing bad news constantly, consistently, bad news on a regular basis. And so God, He don't want us to be focused like He don't want us to be focused on all these things that's going on all the time, because like He said, we have, because He overcome, He was able to overcome the world. We are able to overcome as well, because He lives inside of His people. His Spirit is inside of us. And so we have to keep our focus on God and our expectation on God. I just think about how God performs miracles in our life every day that we don't even see it, or either we don't even acknowledge it because we don't look at it as a miracle, because we focus on things that we don't have. But we should be grateful for the things that God has already done. Just think about it. You woke up this morning. A lot of people didn't even wake up this morning. Or either when you woke up, you had the activities of your limbs. You could see out of your eyes. You could talk your eye. You know what I'm saying? You could walk. Your arms move. A lot of people can't do that. There's so many things that we take for granted until things happen. We have to be grateful for the little things that He does, because He's working every day doing miracles. And He's able to do even greater things in your life if you continue to trust Him and believe Him. And to believe Him, because like I said, we overlook the little things that He does every single day. That's why I wake up every day and tell God, I'm thankful, I'm grateful. I have nothing to complain about, because somebody else's situation is always worse than yours. And so I want to end this message right there. Just say, keep believing. Never stop believing. Never stop believing, and continue to trust God. Amen. Bye-bye for now.